Welcome back or welcome to another podcast episode. I am Kelvin Dooley, and please do I a favor. Please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. You could also turn on your notifications, and that would be much appreciated. I am back today to give you guys the top 5 Kansas City Chiefs players under the most pressure heading into the 2019-2020 NFL season. Let's get things underway with the number one player under the most pressure heading into this upcoming season. This may or may not be a surprise, but it is not one Patrick Mahomes. Number one is Sammy Watkins. I'm going to start off by saying this, my number one point as to why he's the number one player on this roster with the most pressure. His 2019 salary, his season salary is $20 million. That is $20 million at that position is top 5 money. By no chance is Sammy Watkins a top 5 wide receiver in this league. He is being paid as if he's a top 5 presence on that field. And by all accounts, he is not. $20 million at that position for Sammy Watkins. Now, it could be $21 million next season. There is a possible out for the Chiefs after this season. That's another reason why there's a ton of pressure on Sammy Watkins. You had to perform if you're Sammy this season. Let's not even get into the circumstances at his position is in terms of his teammates and what they have going there. He has to perform if he wants to be on the books, wants to be on the roster next season to make $21 million. Now, if the Chiefs cut Sammy Watkins, the Chiefs eat $7 million in dead cap money, which is not too bad to get rid of $21 million for a wide receiver. Is he in a class with Odell, DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Mike Evans? Is he amongst the best with those guys? Should he be deserving to make elite money? Not a chance in hell. He's on the books for $20 million this season. That's pressure for a guy who has only played, 16 games once or twice in his 6-year seasons, in his 6-year career with the Buffalo Bills, Rams, and Chiefs. Twice, if I'm not mistaken. His stats last season, 40 receptions, 519 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, people. This is Sammy Watkins here. Sammy Watkins started 9 games, played in 10, that 10th game being his appearance against the Rams, where he started that game but didn't finish it. I want to say he left after 1 drive, so I'm not really counting that game. So he started and played in 9 games, missed 7 games, before actually having a good showing in both playoff games, especially against the Patriots in the AFC title game, where he kind of lived up to his billing in a sense. Another reason, and my final reason as to why Sammy Watkins is the Chief with the most pressure heading into this upcoming season. Final reasons: Tyreek Hill's uncertainty, Mecole Hardman's rookie learning curve, DeMarcus Robinson's development or lack thereof, and Travis Kelce is coming off off-season ankle surgery. You combine all of that, and if you notice, all 3 of those things have to do with just pass catching and receiving the ball. These are the Chiefs' top receiving players: Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson, and Travis Kelce. You take all of that into account, Sammy Watkins has to be on the field. He has to be on the field and produce if he wants to have any chance of making $21 million next season. There is a safe assumption, or at least if not safe, there's a growing conversation that the Chiefs plan on cutting ties with Sammy Watkins next season. And if within Chiefs Kingdom, if that conversation is being held already in the month of May, months prior to the 2019 season, again, it may be a safe assumption that he is not a Kansas City Chief next season, not at $21 million. Come on. Sammy Watkins is under a boatload of pressure. He's under huge pressure for this offense. Because as it currently stands, again, with Tyreek Hill's uncertainty and Travis Kelce coming off off-season surgery, it looks like he will be ready for training camp. There seems to be no bars there. Still, that's just your presence in the middle. The Chiefs Patrick Mahomes needs that presence on the outside. Sammy Watkins has to be that guy. He, along with whomever else is reporting on Sammy Watkins, the talk can't be how healthy he is and how much of a leader he plans to be or is heading into the upcoming season. I don't want to hear none of that. I want to hear Sammy Watkins say, I'm going to play 15 to 16 games this 2019 season. I'm going to produce at a high level. I'm going to earn my $20 million paycheck that I'm set to make this season. That's what I want to hear from Sammy Watkins. Number 2 on this list. It is not Patrick Mahomes. It is one Frank Clark. Frank Clark is the second Kansas City Chief under the most pressure heading into this upcoming season. I'm going to start here. 5 years, $106 million, $63 million guaranteed. If that contract alone isn't pressure, I don't know what to tell you. He is paid amongst the best. I want to say of the top 6 NFL defensive contracts, I think that contract comes in at number 4. That is a boatload of money for Frank Clark. Let me give you this, point number 2, as to why he's under so much pressure. There are 7 players, one of which is Frank Clark. There are 7 total defensive players whose contract total $100 million or more dollars. Now, I'm going to name 6 players. You tell me if Frank Clark is better than the 6. Khalil Mack, I'll answer that for you, no. Aaron Donald, I'll answer that for you, no. Von Miller, no. DeMarcus Lawrence, close, no. Fletcher Cox, I like Fletcher. I think it's more of a coin flip. I'm taking Fletcher Cox. And J.J. Watt. I think he is better than J.J. Watt. Here are a few guys making a lot of money, and you could probably make the case are better than Frank Clark. Trey Flowers. I put my money on Clark, but I think that one's a coin flip as well. Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is quietly one of the best edge rushers in football, and it has been that way the last 4 or 5 seasons. That it's not really up for debate. Chandler Jones is a beast. And, of course, a lot of his noise, you won't hear much of it because he is in Arizona. But Chandler Jones is a damn good player. And Chris Jones, his now teammate, his interior defensive lineman. Those 3 guys and Chris Jones is set to get a very, very huge payday. But Trey Flowers, Chandler Jones, and Chris Jones. Is Frank Clark better than those 3 guys? One, maybe. Trey Flowers. Maybe he's better than Trey Flowers. I say that to say this. That contract, he is paid amongst the best in the league at his position. The best. Again, of those 7, he's the 4th highest paid player. Now, one thing that he does have going for him over all of those men I just named, great players, he is only 25 years old. Excuse me. Frank Clark is only 25 years old. That contract, you're being paid off potential rather than production that you've done already or prior to in Seattle. He's being paid off potential. Again, he's 25 years old. Now, this is the part that I don't understand. That the narrative is that he's an elite edge rusher. Elite? I don't know about elite. Prior to the trade, I said he is a tier 2 pass rusher trending upwards. Elite? Is he Khalil Mack? Is he Aaron Donald, Von Miller, DeMarcus Lawrence, all 4 of which are elite? Chandler Jones, I would put in that class as well. Elite? I don't know if he's with those 5. I don't like that narrative. I don't think he's an elite pass rusher, but certainly he's trending that way. Again, he's entering his prime. He is only 25 years of age. I think that is the part that is widely overlooked. Again, 5 years, 106 million, 63 guaranteed for the next 5 years. He should be at 13 to 17 sacks a season. At least, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs, that should be the expectation. No questions asked. 13 plus, especially paired with Chris Jones in the middle, paired with this new defensive coaching staff and Spagnuolo and company. That should be the goal for Frank Clark. And the final reason as to why he's under so much pressure, look, from a production standpoint, just simply production, it's Clark who is supposed to turn this defense around this upcoming season. From a production standpoint, not from a leadership, because I think we have Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, Brashard Breeland, Anthony Hitchens to do those type of things. From a leadership, I expect those guys and company to do it. From a production, the guy we look to and say produce for 16 games, it is Frank Clark responsibilities. With that contract, with those expectations, with that teammate in the interior, which forms one of the better duos in football, at least on the defensive line, Chris Jones and Frank Clark, he has to produce this upcoming season. No ifs, ands, or buts. Produce, produce, produce. The second chief under the most pressure is one Frank Clark. Number 3, and we finally get to him, it is Patrick Mahomes. Many of you may say number 3? The reigning NFL MVP is number 3. He's under the third most pressure. Let me tell you why. I think there's 3 things holding back Patrick Mahomes. 3. First, Andy Reid. Andy Reid may go down, or currently as it stands, Andy Reid may be the most talented or greatest head coach to never win a Super Bowl. Maybe. I consider myself a historian to NFL football. Maybe. I'm going to name a few coaches. You tell me yes or no. Marv Levy, coach of the Bills. Dan Reeves, coach of the Broncos. And Bud Grant, longtime coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Andy Reid may be the greatest coach to not win a Super Bowl. Those 3 names are within the conversation, of course. But Andy Reid, if not the greatest, then he's certainly up there with those 3 coaches. Andy Reid has to be better. And Andy Reid has no excuses. This is the greatest quarterback he's ever had. He's done his share of winning with the likes of Alex Smith, Jeff Garcia, Donovan McNabb, just to name a few. Andy Reid is a winner in this league, and he has the greatest talent he's ever had in Patrick Mahomes. He has to be better. Number 2, the second thing holding back Mahomes possibly, Tyreek Hill. 9 QB on the offensive side of the ball. This may be the most talented player in football. Yes, he is an elite wide receiver. At that position, he's up there with Odell, Julio, Hopkins, Evans, Antonio Brown. Elite. He is a number 1 wide receiver. He is an elite wide receiver. He's more diverse in his skill set than all of the elite wide receivers. In terms of being a gadget player, gadget plays, sweeps and screens, handoffs, punt return, kick return. Tyreek Hill, in his uncertainty heading into the season, it is holding back Patrick Mahomes. Not to say that Patrick needs Tyreek Hill, but goddammit, he needs Tyreek Hill. The final thing holding back Patrick Mahomes, the defense, right? So we've seen in his first full year as a starter, having the 31st ranked defense does you no good, regardless of how potent of an offense you have. Having the 31st ranked defense is just poor, right? And now we have a defense that has gone completely 360, and there's a lot of uncertainty as to what that defense will look like, especially having a D coordinator who is coming off taking some seasons off, right? So Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, and the defense. And honorable mention, the tight end position, which I think is very, very underrated and overlooked in a Andy Reid West Coast system. The tight ends are pivotal. He does have the best in football coming off season surgery, and there's a lack of depth. Depth. Excuse me, I had to pronounce that right. Behind Travis Kelce. That's just an honorable mention. Finally, pressure. My final point: 5,000 yards thrown, 50 touchdowns. That's pressure. Those numbers can't be duplicated because they've never been duplicated by a single player before. If I'm not mistaken, 3 players have amounted those stats: Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes, none of which have ever gone on to duplicate those numbers. Now, what the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes have going for them, a part that actually makes me proud, is each of those first 2 quarterbacks, in Brady and Manning, both won Super Bowls after completing those record-setting seasons. They didn't win Super Bowls those seasons, but the seasons to follow, they both won Super Bowls. Manning won 1 Super Bowl, I think, and that was the following season. And Brady has gone on to win 3 Super Bowls since that record-setting season. History tells me that history, at least, is on the Kansas City Chiefs side and Patrick Mahomes. After having a record-setting season, that goes to show that a Super Bowl may be within the Chiefs' future, at least very, very soon. Number 4, the 4th biggest Chief under the most pressure heading into this upcoming season, Anthony Hitchens, believe it or not. Why? Check this out. The defensive secondary has gotten better. I don't know by how much, by what measurables, but I can tell you that they have gotten better. I will take Matthew, a rookie, and Juan Thornhill, who is projected to start. I would take that safety production over Rob Parker, I think his name was last year, Daniel Sorensen, Armani Watts, who missed majority of the season. I take Matthew and Thornhill over the Chiefs' defensive secondary, at least on a defensive backfield, over – I'll just leave it at that. I'll take that defensive backfield over what we had last year. At the cornerback position, Skandrick is gone. Steven Nelson, who was fairly decent last season, he's gone. I like Rashard Breeland. Kendall Fuller is solid. Ward, I don't have high expectations, but I'm really, really looking forward to what he'll be able to bring next season. I like our cornerback position. It could be better. It could be deeper, but I like it better than what we had last season. Which, and final thing, the defensive line up front, I think is amongst the best in football, honestly. Again, with the duo, I alluded to this a few minutes ago, we have a duo of Chris Jones and Frank Clark, combined with the quality NFL players to their lefts and rights. The defensive line is amongst the best in football, which only leads the second level, Anthony Hitchens, who is the leader of that second level, right? Anthony Hitchens, Reggie Ragland, and those guys, they disappointed last season. Now, you can attribute that to Bob Sutton and his play calling and his scheme, but nonetheless, they were just a bad linebacking core last year. Also, they spent a lot of time of the season hurt. Right? Now, Anthony Hitchens has a capable supporting cast behind him and in front of him. Not to mention, he's in a better scheme or system, which is more tailored to his strengths and skill set this upcoming season under Steve Spagnuolo. He was in a 4-3 prior to becoming a Kansas City Chief in Dallas, and he played really, really good football. He's in a similar system. He's going to be in a more aggressive play calling system. This right here is just tailored to what Anthony Hitchens likes to do. And he has to be better. Again, in front of him and in the back of him, the Chiefs are good. Not great, but they are just good. A lot of work is going to be done in the front and in the back of him. He just has to up his game, stay healthy, and be better and lead that second level, which I think quietly could be really good with the acquisition of Darren Lee. I think Dorian O'Daniel would be really good. Reggie Ragland is up in the air, but if he stays on his team, I think he can have a really, really good role. And I would like to see a lot of Ben Neiman. So this linebacking room is fairly decent. I'm not disappointed. I'm not too mad at it. I like it. There's not a standout here. There could be in O'Daniel. I think Lee certainly has the potential. He's a former first-round pick. I like it. Anthony Hitchens has to be that guy for this linebacking room. He's the fourth chief under the most pressure. Fifth and finally, this one may surprise you because I think I could have gone a few other routes. But number 5, I'm going Mecole Hardman. Chiefs. He was the Chiefs. Hardman was the first selection in the 2019 draft in the second round. This is why he's under a ton of pressure. And it also starts with the wording, right, and how we word this. Mecole Hardman is not replacing Tyreek Hill, but stepping into the role of Tyreek Hill. Again, he's not replacing him. He's just stepping into a role that Tyreek Hill had filled the prior 3 seasons. I think the wording of that speaks volumes, right? And he hears that noise. He hears that chatter. He has been seeing what's going on with Tyreek Hill over the course of the last 5 months. And he should look at it as just stepping into a role, not trying to replace Tyreek Hill, because nobody can replace Tyreek Hill because he is one Tyreek Hill. Again, in my opinion, arguably, non-QB on the offensive side of the ball, the best player in football, or certainly, again, on the offensive side of the ball. My second point, there's pressure playing with the reigning MVP now in Patrick Mahomes. There's pressure. Enough said. He's the reigning NFL MVP. He's going to make you look better, but in many cases, you need to make him look better as well. Because he is a young, very, very young, a little wet behind the ears quarterback still. He still has a lot to digest. He still has a lot to learn. There's pressure playing with that guy. That is very, very tough to play with that quarterback. And he's reaching a stratosphere, another level in Patrick Mahomes where the expectations for his wide receivers are now greater. I'm sure he's looking to his array of weapons and saying these guys have to be better. You guys have to be better. I have high expectations from you guys, holding those guys accountable and responsible. There's pressure playing with that guy. Not to mention Super Bowl expectations, maybe the best offensive football. Come on. Come on. Finally, I'm going to read you guys Tyreek Hill's stats his rookie season. And if you remember, he did all of this under one Alex Smith. Tyreek Hill as a rookie, 61 receptions, 593 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. To go along with 24 carries, 267 yards, 267 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Oh, not to mention 2 punt returns, 1 kick return, all of which total over 1,800 yards for the Kansas City Chiefs. 1,800 total yards for Tyreek Hill in this offensive special teams. Mecole Hardman is expected to step into a similar role and really accumulate fairly comparable stats to that. Now, I think he has a greater chance, which adds to the pressure because Tyreek Hill had Alex Smith when he put up those offensive numbers. Mecole Hardman has the reigning MVP and arguably the most talented quarterback in today's brand of football in Patrick Mahomes. You telling me Mecole Hardman cannot exceed 61 catches and 600 yards with Patrick Mahomes? Come on. That's pressure. That's Tyreek Hill's rookie season with Alex Smith. Mecole Hardman can exceed those numbers with one Patrick Mahomes? Think about it. Think about it. The top 5 Chiefs under the most pressure heading into this upcoming season. 1, Sammy Watkins. 2, Frank Clark. 3, Patrick Mahomes. 4, Anthony Hitchens. 5, Mecole Hardman. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, or just turn on the notifications. That way you can know when I drop a new video. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Kelvin Dooley, and we'll be back.